Hey guys, Budzilla here. We're going to make a video here real quick about power steering pump delete. So this is basically if you want to get rid of your power steering but don't want to have to go through the trouble of finding a different belt or an idler pulley or making yourself a pulley. This is so that you can pretty much abandon this and leave the pulley in the loop so that your serpentine belt still fits properly. This happens to be a power steering unit off of one of my neighbor's BMWs. I think it was a 750i or an 850, like a 1989 or 90 model. And I actually went back down and took this out just to show you in this video. I didn't film it when I took it apart and did what I'm going to show you here. But you'll get the point. If I knew there were so many questions online about how to do this, I certainly would have filmed it, but it's too late now because now I have it filled with fluid and it would be just a mess. So basically, you remove your power steering pump. This particular pump is good. His steering rack went bad, so he said instead of paying the exorbitant amount of money for a new rack, he asked me if I would just disconnect the power steering. And I said sure, so this is what I did. So if you look, these are all your input hoses that bring the fluid to and from your reservoir. This doesn't have a reservoir built in, it has a remote reservoir. These all bring the fluid in and out of the pump. Now what you have to do first is, after you take it out, crimp all these off and braze them shut. So these are no longer, fluid cannot pass through these. These are basically just plugged holes at this point. Now you can't just do that without doing the other part of this story that I'm about to show you, because when this pulley's spinning, this thing is still going to try to build pressure, and you're going to blow it up and probably fry your belt at the same time. So to remedy that, I took the whole thing apart, and I wanted to get to the vanes on the cam that make the pressure happen, and I made up a crude drawing here. So if you look here, this is looking straight down at the top of the cam, and these little black spots, these represent the vanes, which are right here. These vanes are the ones that I removed, and basically what happens, this is actually connected to your pulley. Okay, the pulley, you know, there's a bolt that goes through and the pulley is outside. As the pulley spins, all of these vanes are in these little channels, so the pulley can spin, you know, and fluid can get around this. Well, when it starts to spin fast, centrifugal force shoves all of these vanes out against the walls of the power steering pump and gives the liquid, it has to go somewhere. And the volume of fluid that this is moving is way bigger than the hose that's going to your power steering, which is how a hydraulic pump works. It basically is building up more pressure than the hose taking the fluid out can handle, and then you have pressure. So this is what you have to get to seal this up and make sure that you're not blowing things up. So you take it all apart. For this particular one, there were some Allen screws. You can see here's one here. There's one here. And then after you take that off, there's some bolts under here that you got to get to take all this off. So you take it all apart. You get rid of these vanes. They just slide right out. There will be no, it's not hard to do. They just take them out. So now when this spins, it's basically just spinning for no reason. It's other than to keep your pulley. You know, basically this is just a dead pulley now. And again, the reason we're doing this is because if you didn't do this, you'd either have to build an idler pulley system, or you'd have to somehow, you know, maybe buy a custom belt, because, you know, the belt wraps all around and then it goes around this pulley and then back, and so if you eliminated this, your belt would be way too long. So let's get back to the story here. So I took it all apart, removed the vanes, put it all back together. These are all sealed off. I also put a little bit of JB Weld in the banjo bolts. It's totally overkill, but I just did it since I had it all apart. It can't hurt. So now when this spins, it's just spinning. There's nothing, no fluid is being built up. It's not pulling any fluid out. It's not pushing any. I mean, it's not pulling it in. It's not pushing it out. Now, once you get all the vanes out and you put it back together, you want to go to your low pressure in, because that's the biggest hole. All these have tiny holes. I believe it was this guy is the low pressure in. Again, this is very, this is specific to this pump, but yours is going to be very similar if you have a need to do this. So I sealed these off, took this off, and filled it with automatic transmission fluid. I filled it and filled it and filled it. Then I would turn this, and then it would burp, and then filled it and filled it. So this basically is filled to the rim with automatic transmission fluid. And the reason for that is this bearing that's in here actually used the fluid to lubricate the bearing. So if you didn't do that, you put it all back together and all you did was remove these and didn't fill it with oil, this would spin maybe for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes and it would seize, because the bearing will just get way too hot and it'll seize up. So this is pumped filled with ATF and then sealed off. So after I did that, I went over to my lathe and I set it up in the lathe. I actually put the end where the pulley was into the lathe, and then I clamped the rest of the pump down, and then I ran the lathe for a while, maybe 2 hours. And basically what that was simulating was the lathe is turning this constantly for 2 hours. It didn't even get warm. I picked it up with no problem. So you won't have to do that. That's something that I already did, and I know as long as you fill it with ATF, it'll be fine. Or any oil, really. It doesn't have to be a hydraulic oil, but ATF is, it's good at lubrication. So that's what I used. And that's pretty much it. So after that's all done, put her back in, put your pulley back on, put your belt back on, and you have just omitted your power steering system, but didn't have to go through the hassles of building an idler pulley or a specialized belt. You just went in, removed the vanes, put it all back together, filled it up with oil, and you are good to go. If you guys have any questions or comments on this video, please put them down below. I always love to hear them. See you and have a great day. Thanks.